Hello everyone, Lawrence here with the brand new Prorace Desert Fox. This is a new gravel bike from a Belgian company, and so I really wanted to see what it was like, and this bike did not disappoint me. As you can see, this bike has a gorgeous sandstone color with black accents, all with a satin finish. But here's the cool thing, you can fully customize the color scheme you want for your Prorace bike on the Prorace website. So any color combination goes, make it yours, make it fit whatever you want to do with it. Now, even the finishing kit can be adjusted. So if you want your stem to be longer or shorter, that's free of charge. You can do whatever you want with that. Same for a handlebar width. And if you want a different saddle that suits your butt a little bit better, you can swap out that Cell Italia X1 on here for something a little different. Now, what is the finishing kit? The handlebar and stem combo are by FSA. The tires are Schwalbe G1 all-rounds with a tan wool finish. They look really good, but they don't suit the tubeless wheels very well. So the wheels are the DT Swiss G1800s. Those are tubeless ready, but the tires don't like tubeless. So you might want to get different tires that do like tubeless on this bike, and then you have to just put in some valves and you're ready to ride the rough stuff. Group set is Shimano's GRX 600 or 810, depending on what version you want. And it's a really nice group set. It's 2x11 in this case, so that's a 46-30 in the front and 11-32 in the rear to get that perfect cadence when you're doing longer rides. However, the front set, 46-30, that's a big jump. And so the front shifting is a little bit on the slow side. What's really nice about GRX is that it's a road bike group set, but it does have a clutch. So there's no chain slapping when you're riding on cobblestone or off-road, and the chain simply didn't come off in my hundreds of kilometers of testing by now. And just like everything else drivetrain related, the brakes are also Shimano's GRX. Hydraulic brakes, front and rear, of course, 160 rotors on there, and they just feel as good as any hydraulic road bike disc brake that I've ever tried. Nice and easy, always the same bite point, very linear, easy to modulate, all that sort of stuff that you want from disc brakes on your road or gravel bike. So thumbs up from me there, and I especially love the ergonomics on GRX. The levers are slightly wider, a little bit concave even, and so are the shift pedals, a bit bigger, concave, very easy to find your way around even when wearing gloves. And they're also fully rubberized, so that is great for grip, although the rubber does scratch when the bike falls over when you're shooting B-roll for these videos. About the actual bike then, I got on really well with the Desert Fox, and it wasn't much slower than a road bike when I was just going over tarmac, even faster than my cyclocross bike actually because of these tires. But when you go off-road, it's just very comfortable. There isn't any buzzing going on. The tires are slightly wider at 35 mil, so that really helps dampen out vibrations, and it's just a very comfortable bike to go on really long rides with. Now, at 1.38 kilograms, the frame isn't the lightest, so it's not something super zappy and super aggressive like a lightweight road bike, for example, but it's good enough, it just feels nice to go on gravel rides with. It's all you really want from a gravel bike, but it's not something I would personally pick for racing a gravel race. The front end on this bike tracks really well, and it didn't take me very long before I started really pushing my luck in corners. Now, something I do mention in all my videos though is seat tube angle, and at only 72.5 degrees on this size 58 frame, it's just too slack for me, and because the seat post has setback on it, it actually makes it worse. So I couldn't get in my all-out aero position. That also means I couldn't get as much weight on the front wheel as I really wanted to. But if you're going for more bikepacking sort of riding, it's probably perfect when your handlebars are up higher a little bit. Probably really comfortable if you're doing that sort of riding, especially because the top tube slopes down a little bit, which means there's a lot of exposed seat post, and there will be flex in there as well, further aiding the comfort on this bike. And when you do go for those longer rides, it's handy to take some stuff with you. So obviously 2 bottle mounts inside the triangle and a third mount on the down tube. That's perfect for putting an inner tube, some tools, a pump, all that sort of stuff. Also, if you want to put fenders on there, there are fender mounts on the fork and on the rear triangle, so you can get a high quality metal fender on there that doesn't flex or move around all the time. That's really nice. But that does mean there's a massive gap between the tire and the seat tube. This means you can get tires in there up to 60 millimeters wide from my personal measurements that I did just here. But of course your mileage may vary depending on wheel size, because if you go to a 650B wheel, you can probably put a 2.1 inch mountain bike tire in here, no problem. This also means the seat stays are pretty long at 435 millimeters throughout the range. That means that the front wheel isn't going to lift up when you're doing those really steep climbs, for example, but it also means that the bike isn't super agile. It's more of a stable bike, again, more suited to those longer gravel rides, just long stretches of gravel, pedaling for hours on end. That's what this bike is really good at. While I did mention these 35 millimeter tires aren't perfect for going tubeless, the wheels are actually really good. So these are the DT Swiss G1800, nice bladed spokes. They're not the lightest wheels, but they're very stiff, very durable. I did case quite a few sidewalks, I guess, and just sharp concrete edges. I punctured a few tires because this bike at the moment isn't tubeless, but the wheels held up perfectly fine, so thumbs up from me on that front. Now, I would strongly recommend going tubeless because this bike does quite well on rougher terrain as long as it doesn't get too twisty. And the reason I say that is because with my size 45 shoes and my cleats quite far backwards, my toes were rubbing on the front wheel when doing track stands, for example, or very technical riding. So make sure your cleats are either far forwards enough or that your feet aren't too big, or maybe Prorace should make the frame slightly longer, the stem slightly shorter, just like BMC did with their unrestricted gravel bike, which in my opinion rode very well. Overall, I think the Desert Fox is a really nice bike, especially for bike packers and people who just like longer rides, not really pushing their luck and going for adrenaline on their gravel rides. That said, the bike is also incredibly well priced, especially keeping in mind that you can fully customize it. If we put it next to something like Canyon's Grail CF 8.0, they're very similar in price. The Canyon has slightly better spec on there. It's GRX 810 versus this being GRX 600. But then this one, you can choose the colors, you can choose the stem lengths, the saddle, the handlebar width, all that sort of stuff to perfectly suit your needs. Whereas with the Canyon, you might want to buy a few extra stems just to get it right. And you can't buy extra stems because of that hover bar that is very polarizing, to say the least, but I kind of like it personally. So I think if you are looking for a bikepacking or longer ride sort of gravel bike, this one is definitely worth having a look at. And again, I'll put a description link down below. So go and check out the product page for this bike. Thank you very much to Prorace for sending me this bike for review. And thank you guys very much for watching this video so that I can do what I love to do, which is making these videos. So if you liked it, thumbs up, subscribe, do the whole sort of YouTuber stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers!